Today, Air Mobility Command stands as the connective tissue of the Joint Force, projecting a beacon of hope for those in need and a powerful signal to America's adversaries. An elite organization with a proud heritage, AMC preserves peace around the globe while ensuring continued prosperity at home. In 1992, Air Mobility Command was established, marking the first time in history that the 5 core mission sets of airlift, air refueling, aeromedical evacuation, command and control, and global air mobility support have existed under the same 4-star major command. These mission sets allow us to deliver rapid global mobility. Right effects, right place, right time. On average, a mobility aircraft departs from somewhere around the globe every 4 minutes. We do this 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. An unmatched feat that is underpinned by our global command and control architecture. To understand this C2 architecture, we'll start with the President and the Secretary of Defense, who execute command authority over AMC in 2 ways. The first is through the service secretaries, who are tasked to organize, train, and equip our forces. Specifically, the Secretary of the Air Force has designated AMC as the lead major command for mobility air forces, making AMC the lead for rapid global mobility. Second is through the combatant commanders, who employ our forces in day-to-day operations. AMC is assigned as a component command to United States Transportation Command, headquartered at Scott Air Force Base. This means that day in and day out, AMC executes taskings under the operational control of U.S. Transcom. The Department of Defense requires U.S. Transcom to determine the most effective way to move resources. If movement by road or rail is required, the tasking will be given to the Army component, which is the Military Surface Deployment and Distribution Command located at Scott Air Force Base. If resources need to ship by sea, the tasking will fall to the Naval Component, which is the Military Sea Lift Command located at Naval Station Norfolk. But if resources require the immediacy provided by air transport, the tasking will fall to us, the Air Component. That's how we are organized. Now let's talk about who we are. In AMC, we have just over 48,000 active duty and DoD civilian personnel. You can see that AMC has relatively few active duty bases. But that's where the total force comes into play. The Air National Guard brings another 35,000 personnel, numerous bases, and additional weapon systems to our mobility team. The Air Force Reserve brings another 21,000 personnel and even more bases and weapon systems, taking our total strength to just over 105,000 personnel. Together, we are an agile and strong total force mobility team. That's who we are. Now let's talk about what we do. We have 5 core missions. Our airlift mission includes the C-130 Hercules, the C-17A Globemaster III, and the C-5M Super Galaxy aircraft. Their versatility gives us the capability to deliver cargo via paved runways and dirt strips, or in the absence of a runway, via airdrop. Together, they allow us to rapidly deliver hope, sustainability, and lethality anywhere on the globe in a day. The C-130 Hercules, our tactical airlifter, is built to deliver critical supplies for that last tactical mile. The C-130 can operate in all types of austere environments, from the Antarctic ice to the desert sands. Over the last 3 decades, we've continued to modernize our C-130 fleet with the acquisition of the C-130J model, which has increased speed and cargo capacity. From our smallest airlifter to our largest, the C-5M Galaxy, the C-5 is our strategic airlifter, capable of delivering our outsized or oversized cargo clear around the world in hours, rather than weeks if sent by sea. To give you some perspective, the C-5 can carry 6 Greyhound buses and still have room for 73 passengers in the upper deck. In fact, the C-5's cargo bay is longer than the Wright brothers' first flight. With a mix of capabilities, the C-17A Globemaster III is the pinnacle of 80 years of unrivaled American airlift expertise. The C-17A combines the strategic nature of the C-5, capable of delivering oversized cargo across the globe, and the tactical nature of the C-130, landing at austere locations with semi-improved surfaces or dirt fields. These capabilities make the C-17 an integral part of America's ability to project global reach. To meet the demands of the Joint Force, AMC teams with our commercial partners to provide augmented capacity to execute air operations. These commercial partners provide us an incredible advantage in steady-state, crisis, and conflict operations. In fact, every day, 90% of our military passengers and 40% of our military cargo moves via commercial carrier. In extraordinary times, the Secretary of Defense has the ability to activate 450 aircraft from 25 carriers as part of the Civil Reserve Air Fleet. This commercial capability frees up our military airlift to do the things that only they can do, such as operations in hostile and austere environments, moving critical cargo that last tactical mile, and airdrop to isolated personnel. But sometimes, instead of cargo, the warfighter needs fuel. Our tankers ensure fighters, bombers, and other mobility aircraft have the reach to project our forces anywhere on the globe, and the loiter time to protect our forces wherever they may be. Air refuelers make it possible for U.S. and Allied aircraft to be anywhere in the world in a matter of hours, rather than days. The first tanker we'll discuss is the KC-135 Stratotanker, the backbone of our air refueling capability. First introduced in 1956, our most seasoned tanker aircraft has been modernized with new engines, new avionics, and it will continue to be a significant part of our air refueling fleet for years to come. In fact, the last KC-135 pilot and boom operator likely have yet to be born. We enhance our air refueling capability with the KC-46A Pegasus, with greater refueling, cargo, and aeromedical evacuation capabilities. Compared to the KC-135, the KC-46 is the beginning of the next generation of tankers. A first for the Air Force, the air refueling operator station includes panoramic displays, giving the boom operator wingtip-to-wingtip situational awareness. Additionally, the KC-46A is equipped with self-protection, defensive, and communication features, providing greater survivability in contested environments. Last, our Global Executive and Special Air Mission Fleet provides airlift, logistics, aerial port, and communications for the President, Vice President, Cabinet members, combatant commanders, and other senior military and elected leaders as tasked by the White House, Air Force Chief of Staff, and Air Mobility Command. The Global Executive and Special Air Mission maintains 24/7 alert, operating the Executive Airlift Training Center and Government Network Operations Center. In addition to aircraft, we could not get where we need to go without our Global Support Team. The Global Air Mobility Support Team is not a new concept, but it wasn't officially established as an Air Mobility Command core capability until 2013. Giving us this capability are airmen at home and abroad, providing the necessary command and control maintenance and support functions that truly enable our global operations. We move the mission globally in two ways. The first is through our Air Mobility Operations Wings, headquartered at Ramstein Air Base, Germany, and Joint Base Pearl Harbor Hickam in Hawaii. These wings oversee 16 en route bases and numerous geographically separated units. These are the global stepping stones for our mobility aircraft. This system is a living organism that allows our planners to move personnel and resources rapidly to meet current demands. Now, if we have to go somewhere outside of this established en route support structure, we turn to our nation's 911 force, which is the 621st Contingency Response Wing, splitting its headquarters at both Joint Base McGuire-Dix Lakehurst, New Jersey, and Travis Air Force Base, California. Whether supporting humanitarian aid after a natural disaster like a hurricane or earthquake, or at the onset of indications and warnings of conflict, which require the rapid deployment and maneuver of the Joint Force, Contingency Response Airmen stand at the ready 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, to answer the nation's call. We never know when or where the need will arise, but the CRW is always ready to respond. CRW airmen take their own food, water, weapons, ammunition, and whatever they need to sustain themselves for 5 days before needing resupply. They will be either the first or among the first friendly faces you'll see at any new operating location. From Operation Allies Refuge in Afghanistan to various humanitarian relief efforts around the globe, the CRW never fails as our nation's emergency mobility force. Additionally, in AMC, we are always ready to provide hope and care on what could be the worst day of a service member's life. The Air Force Aeromedical Evacuation System is a unique and significant part of the nation's mobility force. Its mission is to provide time-sensitive, mission-critical en route care to patients to and between medical treatment facilities. With a moment's notice, we can transform any of our mobility aircraft into a flying hospital, and our remarkable medical personnel serve several roles on these aircraft. The basic level of care is provided by our aeromedical evacuation crews. These crews are unique because they have both medical and aircraft training, allowing them to interact with both the aircraft and patients, serving as that life-saving link between man and machine. Now, years ago, if you told someone that you would be flying patients in critical condition around the world, they would have a hard time believing you. But with our Critical Care Transport Teams, or CCATs, we are able to transport even the most critical patients. A CCAT will usually consist of a doctor, nurse, and respiratory therapist. The CCAT, along with the AE crew, form an airborne intensive care unit that expedites patients to the medical care that can save their life. Now, because of these teams and several improvements in the system, what used to take 10 days can now be accomplished in just 3 days. And in the most critical cases, we can get patients to the care they need in less than 24 hours. And the results speak for themselves. Survivability has skyrocketed from 76% at the end of the Gulf War to our current rate of over 91%. And if we can reach patients within that first golden hour, that rate increases to 98%. In AMC, we will go to the ends of the earth and spare no expense to save just one life. However, this aeromedical evacuation, along with any of our other core mission sets, does not function optimally without the command and control infrastructure required to handle the immense capacity of our air mobility enterprise. The 618th Air Operations Center's mission is to plan, task, execute, and assess global air mobility operations by providing multi-domain command and control of mobility forces. Comprised of a total force team of approximately 800 personnel, the 618th AOC optimizes the global air mobility system while providing airlift, air refueling, and aeromedical evacuation air crews with the mission details, support, and authority necessary to successfully execute their missions. The 618th AOC performs this global function nonstop 24/7. We've been busy here in AMC. Since September 11, 2001, our air mobility support system has enabled the movement of over 20 million passengers. That's like moving the entire population of St. Louis 68 times. We've offloaded over 26 billion gallons of fuel. For perspective, you could go to the gas station and put gas in an average car nonstop for about 12,000 years with that amount of fuel. We've also had over 250,000 patient movements, all with a mobility force just over 105,000 strong. But it's not about the numbers, it's about the people we serve. And it's about the 640,000 men and women around the world who form the world's greatest Air Force. So today I've shared with you who we are and what we do. And now I'd like to finish by letting you hear how our airmen enable American air power to compete, deter, and win against our adversaries.